That's not allowed.
Greetings, and again, a very warm welcome to HAC's 2020 Virtual Rural Housing Symposium, Recovery Through Resiliency. This is the 2020 Visions, Pathways, and Outcomes session. I am Shantaria Charleston, the Director of Technical Assistance and Training here at the Housing Assistance Council, and I am ecstatic to moderate this conversation amongst such an amazing and capable group of practitioners. Before we move into the session, I'd like to provide a few housekeeping items. Please be sure and join us in this conversation by using the chat feature to provide comments and or impressions. And also, please be sure to join HAC Online to transition those conversations and impressions by using the hashtag Rural Resiliency. That said, let's begin the conversation. So the encompassing idea of pathways and outcomes through vision, it's a perfect soliloquy for this panel of practitioners, from the direct service provider who interacts and touches the end beneficiary to the construction director who leads the on-the-ground development activities that ultimately puts units in the ground, to the CEO and visionary who is responsible for coordinating and shepherding the many moving pieces into one concise mission. This panel is ripe for synergistic discussion that is sure to yield fruit of conscious thought and boundless possibilities. That said, the 2020 Pathways and Outcomes session was developed with the full understanding that recovery in any form is filled with twists and turns, requiring practitioners to approach the task with clarity, understanding that any changes made ultimately impacts operations and service delivery, and should be planned with the future in mind, not simply immediate mitigation. Our panel today includes Lenora Jarvis Mackey, President and CEO of River City CDC, located in Elizabeth City, North Carolina; Elizabeth Mooney, Loan Packager and Housing Counselor with Community Action Commission of Fayette County, located in Washington Courthouse, Ohio, that's a mouthful, and Louis Hertha Serna, Construction Director at Housing America Corporation, located in Somerton, Arizona. And so as we begin, I'm reminded of the quote from Mahatma Gandhi, in the midst of darkness, light persists. And so believing and functioning with the idea of light persisting, I'd like to open the conversation by shining a light on what has worked across the three organizations for each of our panelists. So with that as our baseline, I'll start off by asking each of the panelists to share a bit about your organization, and then also one or two of the key accomplishments over the past 9 months. So what your organization has been able to turn into meaningful, impactful outcomes. Let's start with Liz.
Hi. So my name's Liz. I am the Loan Packager and Housing Counselor at Community Action Commission in Fayette County, Ohio. So we're located in a very rural, small community, very tight-knit. Our agency, covers many different bases, from homelessness to Salvation Army, the self-help housing program, other housing programs, rapid rehousing. We also have recovery, and we opened a domestic violence shelter as of this year as well. So we encompass many different varieties of services to tailor to our community, to set them up for success. So just like everybody, COVID has really hit our community more now than towards the beginning. But some of the main changes we've made, we've essentially restructured and revamped our homebuyer counseling process, start to finish, to kind of tailor to, these unknown waters that we are entering. We've had to streamline it to make it more effective. We've had to tailor our program to meet the different needs of our clients. Some are, in the elderly community where they are unable to come in now because they're in a high-risk group exposed to COVID, or they have a family member. Same with our younger generation. Most of them have younger kids. So the familial aspect was really affected as well. So we've had to tailor to kind of meet the needs of everybody. along with that technological divide that you always run into in a rural area. So we've had to streamline our process to make it more time efficient, more flexible, more convenient, because with, you're working at home or you're teaching your children at home, you don't have much flexibility to get into the office during business hours. It's harder. So we've had to really exercise every avenue and see what works best for us, because what works best for someone else might not be the best choice for my area, for my client, and even client to client. So we've really had to take more of a technological approach, just to open more windows of convenience and different avenues of communication. This actually has given me here at Community Action a much deeper relationship with our clients, which, if you would think about it, a technological and virtual relationship might not be as deep as someone who you can come in and see face to face. It's actually quite the opposite. I have gotten a lot closer with a lot of my clients. I've gotten more information from them. We've connected on on more of a base where you might not have that communication when they come into the office. You might not know why they can only talk to you at 8 p.m. on Facebook for this reason. So it's really building deeper relationships, and it's giving them more trust. They know that I'm here. They know that our entire housing program and just our agency in general is here any time of the day, within reason, for what they need. So it's really helped that's really building our trust with them, and it's giving me the trust to move forward. It's given, we've been able to create effective avenues just of our day-to-day process and procedures that we might not have reevaluated if we weren't in the middle of an unforeseen pandemic that is really hindering every aspect and every community. It's crazy, but it's all a lot of trial and error to figure out what's working in our community. And, restructuring this process has really helped in our community, and it's helped us as well. So.
That's very interesting, Liz, where you talked about getting those deeper relationships, even while the pandemic has, made it mandatory for us to social distance. So I want to come back to you later on that, but I'll go ahead and pass it off to Lenora to start out. Nora? All right. While Lenora connects her volume there, we'll go ahead and shift to Luis. And so, Luis, if you want to go ahead, and then we'll come back around to Lenora to finish us out on this particular question.
Definitely. Hello, everyone. Well, here at Housing America Equation, we were fortunate enough to keep working through the pandemic, organizing ourselves first, and communicating with our participating family members. And as you mentioned, throughout these 9 months, by having continuous dissemination of information, in particular, your very basics, washing your hands. I mean, taking care of them, taking care of the individual, not only at work but at home. Okay, and this, and also by showing them that communicating to us if they had a symptom or other, that was key in order to keep the whole group moving forward. And by doing this, we were able to record 42 certificates of occupancy this past fiscal year. Our goal was 26. Okay. We're also able to refine the way we communicate with our participating families, by sending out weekly assignments through a communications application. This allowed us to designate each and everyone's task prior to the work weekend. By doing this, it motivated them. It gave them a sense of commitment. And what that looked, and also it allowed them to look forward to building and continuing to build their future homes. Additionally, we also utilized online bidding. And when it came time for bid opening, yes, we had to do some adjustments, but we did it in a controlled area, taking all the cautions in place. And that's what got us through. And that's, how we're at where we're at now.
Thank you for that, Luis. Lenora, it looks like you might still be muted. And so not really sure. I'm going to ask if we could have our logistics. Oh, there you are.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, I told you this technology. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lenore Jarvis Mackey, and I am President and CEO of River City Community Development Corporation. And I'm very proud to say that we are celebrating 30 years of service this year. And while we had a banner year planned, COVID hit. So we're going to have to put our 30th-year celebration over to 31 years. Our organization is a community development corporation, and some of the programs that we work with are, we have a youth build program, a second chance and restitution for young people who have gotten in trouble with the law, but they are not sent to jail or anything. They have to do the restitution in the program in the community, so we're able to work with them doing that. And of course, we have AmeriCorps housing and homelessness and housing counseling. So needless to say, as COVID has hit, it has impacted our programs tremendously. But we've been able to, as you say, find a light at the end of the tunnel to still be able to continue some of the services and some additional services that we were doing in our community. For example, before COVID, we were not doing as much with the homelessness population as we are now. And since COVID, that population has increased tremendously. So we are able to help them with housing, emergency housing in hotels, for example. And also we have a rehousing program that we're able to help them to get into permanent housing. So that has really increased since COVID. And with that, we have been able to provide other supportive services to our service area. Although our office closed during the first couple of months, we were still able to work from home and also by the phone. So we were still able to do a lot of what we were doing and much more since COVID hit. So I think that in a way, we have certainly been handicapped, but we certainly have been able to reach a lot of clients since COVID hit and been able to help them and help our community. And that has been really, heartwarming.
That's great. So it sounds like what I've heard from each of the three of you is that despite the hardships endured, there have been some lessons learned from each of your pandemic experiences, just as we all have, learned some lessons. And so thinking along those lines, let's turn and get a little bit more specific about the adjustments to how we serve client needs or situational shifts and how your organizations have been able to pivot. I'm loving the word pivot. We've heard it a couple of times this morning, and it seems like it's going to be the word of the day. But if we could talk more specifically about what your organization did or developed, or how you guys have restructured in terms of your operational activities, and to what were the results of those shifts and pivoting around the pandemic. Let's go with Luis first this time.
Yes. Well, I was thinking here, we can go ahead and show the second slide. And just, speaking of that, breaking down the responsibilities is, let me see, it's going to be the first. first slide. How about the second? There you go. Breaking down the responsibilities, and this is a good example on how we do it, of each participating family member, and assigning them to what they do best in the building process has really been essential and key to us. Also taking a systematic approach on building homes. Again, going back to the basics, showing them, from how to hold a hammer, how to use a measure tape, how to do layouts, eventually how to build our homes. In the beginning, it is very slow, but using the systematic approach, once they get going, it starts picking up, and everybody gets excited and starts participating, and they're going from one home to another home to another home. So the results of all of this, have been phenomenal. Families get excited when they see that they've advanced and that they're going to be saving 2 to 4 months in rental once they complete their new homes. So it is very, very emotional to the families when we're working with them this way. Now turn it back to you, Terry. You may be muted.
There we go. I'm being a producer behind the scenes, showing slides and all that kind of stuff. So, Liz, we can shift to you. Thank you. Sorry about that.
So it seems to be a recurring theme from the beginning of the symposium to now. The pivot that our agency has made is being more technologically and virtual focused, and working on, creating innovative ways to tailor and meet that, that aspect of what we want to do, and creating different approaches that meet, the 19-year-old that I have coming in to the 65-year-old who still doesn't have, a smartphone. They're still on a flip phone, or they just don't have a computer. All the way up to, the 76-year-old that we have right now, that's kind of in the same boat. So it's trying to find the right option that works for the agency and that works for a variety of clients. So we have opened multiple new lines of consistent and flexible communication. So we have shifted to, we have a Facebook option to message through there. If you don't have a smartphone, but you have, a computer at home, a desktop, anything, even if there's no computer, you can do a call through Facebook. We've done Zoom. We have Google Talks, and I don't want to give out my cell phone number to my clients. So I have this app that I can download that generates, a cell phone number that I can give to clients to text and call through. But it also allows me to have that separation of work and my personal life, which when you're working from home and in this, the pandemic that we're going through now, it's really hard to find that separation, because that you have your clients right now that, they lost their original jobs, so now they're working nights, or vice versa. So that time of communication has changed. So it's hard when, you get that call, and I've had it before, realtors or homeowners, it's 11:30 on a Saturday, but this is the only time that they're able to give you a call. And you're going back and forth. Do I answer it? Do I just, try to give them? And then it's, this is the only time I'm going to be able to talk to them for another 3 days. So let's go ahead and, get up out of the bedroom. We don't wake the kids up, and let's see what's going on. So these different avenues are really giving you, or they're helping me, create that definition between my professionalism, my personal, and just wanting to help. So there are tons of different tools that you can utilize that we have been trying, and we find what works best for each one. Not everybody has, an iPhone, so they can't FaceTime. So if they have an Android, you use Google Duo. So there are multiple different avenues that you can go through. So our pivoting has really just been finding which one works for me, which one works for them, and what can get us on a same page to be able to move forward, in the same expectations that we would if you were coming in and only meeting with me, and, stopping that communication and, business is over at 4:30, so I will talk to you at 8 a.m. So it's finding that fine line between the two and seeing what works. And like I said previously, it has that in itself, finding these different avenues has really helped strengthen that relationship between our clients and keeping them involved and interested in the program, even through all of this crazy, that's happening right now. They are still here for it. They're still involved. They're still doing it. Whereas if I personally feel like in my area, if we didn't have these different, options for them, that it would be let's pull back. And when everything is, kind of back to normal, then I'll readdress and we'll restart the entire process. So it's giving me more commitment. It's keeping them involved. It's keeping me positive. So it's, we know how this business is. It's, you can work with someone for 13 or 14 months and they're excited and you get them credit ready and then they go to a traditional bank and don't do the program. So it's a shining light to keep it going for me too. So we were able to streamline our process. Like I said before, time efficiency is a big thing right now because there are so many hands in the pot. There's so many things going on that you want to make sure that you are being really effective with your time, especially when you are working virtually or from home. You want to make sure that you have a plan and you can stick to it. So we've streamlined it through. And actually by doing that, we limited the time that we spend on our program, give them a couple different tasks, such as get your credit report, create your budget. I'm having first, and it's actually giving me much more commitment because before they even meet to talk in depth about the program, they've already done these steps. And your personal time generates commitment. So if I'm doing a budget, if I'm getting my credit report, and then I'm sending all this stuff in, and I'm coming in to meet, I already tested, so I'm only going to stand to move through. So that, unfortunately, we've had to marketing in the community. We haven't had any of our supportive services. So we've had to find creative ways to do that. So, lives on Facebook. I'm starting to get more familiar with Zoom. Know that you're still thinking about them, even though they can't come into you every day and just, chit chat and catch up. Adaptation, a lot of changes.
We are getting a lot of pocketing with your audio, Liz. So not sure if you can hear us clearly. But since there's been such a delay, I wanted to go ahead and shift over to Lenora to respond to the question, what specifically has River City CDC done in terms of development and restructuring in terms of its operations, and what were the results?
Okay, thank you. I would like to ditto as it relates to what Liz was saying about technology and being virtual. However, the clients that we serve, we have not been able to do a lot with virtual and the technology because it has to be more hands-on. So we've had to colonize our office, if you will, and make sure that the staff is safe, but our clients have still been able to come in for services, because if you're homeless, you don't have necessarily a way of communicating with us using technology. They usually come to the door and we allow them to come in, but of course, practicing social distances and making sure everybody has a mask and so forth. And as well as we have been partnering with another agency to provide support services. So we've been actually going into some of the most rural communities that have food deserts and having food distributions on days that people can drive by, and we actually put the food in the trunk of the car and they continue on. So far we have been able to do 3 of those, and we've served now over 1,500 people. And so we have just been really pleased with being able to provide the service, because especially in our most rural counties that are already food deserts, and a lot of them don't even have a supermarket. So when we can bring in a tractor trailer truck to provide food for them, it has been really rewarding. And so with that, we also have been working with COVID testing. So as they are lined up waiting for the food, we have a group that's actually doing COVID testing before they come in to get their to get their food. So that has worked well. And providing additional services, we make sure every car has masks and sanitizer. We're passing that out as well. So our work has been more hands-on. A lot of it's been hands-on, although we're able to do some things virtually. For example, our youth build program, we've been able to do our GED virtually and online with the students. But pretty much the day-to-day, we've been able to actually provide those services in person.
Thank you. Thank you. It sounds, well, what I heard from the 3 of you across the 3 organizations is that you guys have been able to do a very delicate balancing act. That too has involved some pivoting. There goes that word again, pivoting in terms of shifting your operations to actually move implementation of these new services and ways of operating that you've not had to do before. So let's transition a little bit. Earlier, Liz talked about the use of technology, and Lenora, you talked about the not being able to use technology because of the clients that you serve. And so we know undoubtedly technology to a certain extent has played a large part in how organizations are able to adapt to challenges around social distancing and remote work. And so I've got 3 different things that I want you guys to maybe focus on and respond to. And we'll do them, kind of round robin on them, or you can answer them all at once. But want to find out or want to hear from you how your organization was able to maximize technology to its advantage. Liz talked a little bit about that already. And then what might have been some of the unexpected benefits to making those changes. So we'll start with those 2 first. How your organization has been able to maximize technology to its advantage, and then what were or did you find any unexpected benefits in trying to shift to address those changes? So let's start with Louise first on this one.
Right. Well, I've been hearing communication, and I think that's key, especially in construction. We were able to maximize technology in communicating with our family members. We don't use Facebook or Twitter. We use a direct communication application, WhatsApp, because it is a simple to use application. It's just messages, but it also allows us to send out documents that we need them to review, documents that we maybe need them to sign. So, communication to us has been key. It also, has helped us organize as a team staying focused at a glance basis, you know, and create. This application also helps you create communications groups. So we created, for instance, a construction team group, a daily log group, a separate group for every family, every group of families that we work with. This is focused again and able to deliver the information that we need to everyone at the same time. You know, some of the benefits. I go back to communications. It also better management overall. It has made it clear on all fronts that we have to depend on each other, that we have to work as a team in order to succeed and continue to assist our community, which is our goal, which is our mission. You know, the social distancing that you mentioned, or that was in the information you shared, and part of the questions is, you know, by knowing in advance what is planned out, and being able to keep away from the group briefings that we have to with working with the groups. You know, that's one of the things that this has also helped us with, because we can get that message, we can get information out to them and not necessarily have them gathered as a whole group. You know, if they have any questions, they'll communicate back to us, like I said, as a simple text. So all in all, that's how we've managed to use technology and address the social distancing requirement.
I am muted. I am constantly muted constantly on mute. Lenora, would you like to chime in next on this question?
Yes. Our organization has maximized technology by utilizing it for meetings, of course, and communicating, as he indicated. And of course, it has worked very well. As I said, we have not been able to use it to a great extent as it relates to our clients, but we have been able to use it with having business meetings or meetings with staff, meetings with the board, and so forth. And so that has worked out well, and it has certainly been to our advantage to stay connected, if you will. And we have been able to utilize, I guess, Facebook and our website during this time, because we have been able to put applications for, say, for example, we are able to assist with utilities and rent. So we're able to put applications on our website and Facebook so that those persons who want to access those services can fill out an application. And after filling out the application, we're able to make contact with them via the phone. So that has worked out really well as we have gone forward through this COVID times.
Great. Thank you, Liz.
So we have at Community Action been able to maximize our technology. I know I'm not the only one who has personally been affected by COVID. So, you know, I'm a young employee. I am a young mother. I have a growing family of 3 beautiful young children, all school aged, and then 1 infant, you know, not quite in school yet. And my 2-year-old actually is immunocompromised. So when this hit, all the uncertainty, it really put me in a situation where I didn't know if I was, you know, going to be able to continue to stay employed. You know, because you hear of every, you know, you don't take them out, you don't know what's going to happen. So you don't put them in daycare. And typically, you know, I'm not in a position that normally teleworks or that's part of, you know, their job description. So I have been very blessed to work at an agency that was so willing to accommodate and work with me. But me, being home in the virtual school and my kids losing daycare, it put me in a position where I didn't have much time to work through it. I had to find a solution and show that, my work can still be done at home if I want to continue to work. So it was a very, it was thrown at you and you had to show it, find it, work through it, figure out how it's going to work for you, work for your clients. Because like I said before, even though I am technologically inclined and I, have all the different apps that I need, I have social media, a smartphone, a computer, my tablet, doesn't mean that all my clients are going to, and doesn't mean that they're going to have access to the internet. So I need to find a way to show that I can still help those clients while doing this. So it has been a back and forth process, but technology has really helped that, come full circle. So our agency actually put a computer and a printer in our front lobby. It's in a private little corner. It has access to the internet. So our clients can come in and they can print off paperwork that they need. They can go online and request their credit reports if that's not something that they would typically be able to do at home. They can, have a sense of communication with us. So, even if they don't want to come and meet face to face in a small office, they can come in, email, or they can send documents that they need. And so we are trying our best as an agency to tailor to that digital divide for those who might not have access to internet at home or a computer, a smartphone, or something that can scan or take a picture. So we are trying our best to meet those needs. Our agency also implemented Pandadoc, which I know a lot of people do. They have the capability to e-sign. But this is a new thing for our agency. It hasn't been used up until recently. So we've been able to do that to send documents out for our clients for, HEAP or PIP. I'm hoping to implement it in the self-help program soon. I think that would really help our program as well. We just, have to kind of check everything out and see as long as it meets all of our compliance. So we all know how that goes. So it was really just okay, this is happening. We have to figure out what can I do? So another benefit that we found, so like we asked about maybe an unexpected benefit, is I don't necessarily enjoy working from home because I have 3 young kids. So it was a challenge at first to figure out what I'm going to do, how I'm going to fill my day, how am I going to prove to my boss that I'm doing, 8 hours of work every day. So the first thing that came to my mind was, okay, this is new to me. Let's find a training. Let's find something I can watch. Let's talk to someone who's done it before. I think I have probably watched 200 to 300 webinars in the last 2 months, filling my days up, trying to take in information, trying to I want tips from everybody who's done it before. If anybody watching, Laura Rohr, go get on her Instagram, go to her neighbor work trainings, because you have any questions with technology or outreach, she's going to give you that answer. She knows what she's talking about. So that's a little tidbit there. But it was just really given, how am I going to connect? How am I going to continue this to work? So it's given my clients and myself a sense of security and safety, knowing that, okay, I know that this is a potential. I got an email today that my kids, were practicing for full virtual, which we haven't had yet this year. So it's really scary. But knowing that there's all these different avenues and there's these different ways to connect and work, it's making you feel secure in the world of, you don't know what's happening next. But I know that I have this agency. I know that my clients have me, and I know that I have someone that I can rely on. And there's different ways to do it. always going to be a way to make it work. You just have to find that way and be willing to work for that way. So, that's how we've maximized our technology. And those were some of the unexpected benefits on top of the, as I had mentioned earlier, making deeper connections with clients through virtual, where I honestly expected the opposite going into it. And I was worried it was going to be difficult to keep them engaged and wanting to come back. So those are some of, my benefits and, my technology.
I think you raise a lot of great points, Liz. And so one of the things that I heard you repeat that sort of resonates with me, not only in this conversation, but just in this field in general, is really the idea of stakeholders or people that are involved in, housing affordability, homelessness, the many other things that we do, the many other hats that we wear, is really finding a way to provide the services and the critical needs of the communities in which we live and we love. And so in thinking about that, I wonder, and this question, I'm just going to throw it out to the three of you. Don't all have to answer. One of you answer, or the three of you answer. Is there one issue that came up that you might have, something came up that technology was able to solve for you?
Yeah. So one thing that came up, and I was going to answer it in another question, but so we all know that when you are doing, if you're a housing counselor, that the questioning process, you have to earn that trust to move forward. But your clients can sometimes feel intimidated. They can feel interrogated. And the hardest part of getting help is coming in. So this has actually generated more interest because you don't have to come in. That's the hardest part. I mean, you have 3 kids and then are in school, but you can't come in during this time. So it's, I'll try it another time. Or you keep scheduling appointments, you keep calling to get information, but you're not quite ready to take that step to come in. So this has actually helped that problem. And it's helped connect more to the clients. I've actually got more information virtually than I have with them sitting in my office. They are more inclined to open up over an email or a message than they are in person, because I don't think that they fear any sort of judgment. I don't feel like they feel like you're looking down on them because they're in a financial hardship, or they're in they're in a situation that they think that you're not in. The thing with COVID, I think it's kind of brought everybody to a level playing field. So for me, it's really easy if someone's like, I've lost my job for COVID. I totally understand. I've had to take time off myself for this. It gives everybody a common ground to start with, and it already builds that trust right out of the gate. So it's been a lot easier for me to get information from clients and for them to open up on a deeper level than they would have person to person. Because I've worked in a banking industry prior to this, and it was the same thing. A young woman on the other side of the table, and here I am, an elder, and I have to ask them for help. It's not always, especially in rural communities, that's a big thing. A woman is the first part that's a problem, but a younger woman is another problem that it's hard to get over that. So this has really helped because at first they don't know who I am. They don't know what I look like. They don't know how old I am. They don't know what I'm going through. They don't think I'm looking down on them. So that was a problem that they're telling me one thing, and then this is coming out after. I can only go by what they tell me. But this has given a lot more honesty, a lot more transparency, and a lot more, information for me to take in, which is surprising to me. So that was something I found worked. That now it's, hey, maybe if I have a touchy question, let's email them and see what they say, if they'll answer it better. So.
Right. Great. Lenora, we want to hear from you on this. If you have an experience that you want to share, I know that you guys have started your food truck, and so want to find out if you've had any experiences where technology might have been assistive in that effort. You're muted. See, no one told me I was muted, so you're muted.
I think, doing food distribution has really been something new for our organization. We have been a food pantry, and we have always dispersed food to our students and to the community as needed. But we have not taken on food distribution to the level that we are doing it now, where we're actually going into communities and having to make sure that people know that we're coming, the time that we're coming, and so forth. So technology has played a big part in that, and especially the little towns that have, they don't have newspaper, they don't have TV, and etc. So we have had to depend on Facebook and so forth, just by putting it out to several people we may know in the community and ask them to just flood the community with all the people that they know so that people will know about it, because that's really the only form of communication. We can take flyers and put them up at the general store, if you will, and so forth, but it's not the same as technology, because I've been really surprised, because one community we went in, and we only really had 3 days to let people know that we were coming. And we served 300 people in 3 days that came out in their cars to take advantage of the opportunity. So I would say technology has really worked in that regard. And the local radio stations, of course, that has helped us tremendously, especially those that are connected to the community. So they know exactly, how to get the word out. So technology has helped us with that as well.
Great. Luis, did you want to comment on this, or were you okay?
Our line of work is out there in the field, and so what has helped us, though, I have to admit that. By putting out bidding online, it has helped us streamline that bidding process. So that's one thing that I'd like to share. Other than that, communication is key.
Great. I've heard a few things, but I think both you, Luis, and Liz both talked about it. Facebook calling or interacting over Facebook. And so it seems as though, even with the limited communication, Facebook is enabling a lot of small organizations to reach their clients in a way that normally they would not have evolved into doing outreach. And so that's one thing that's critically important, is just really utilizing the advancements in technology. And I know a lot of people are very excited about that. But we're almost ending near our time. And so what I want to do is I want to come full circle to where we began, and thinking about how light persists in the darkness, with our direction forward facing, yet in retrospect. And so Lenora started talking a little bit about this, but I wanted to kind of pull that out a little bit more, because I didn't want to lose it as we near the end here. Were there any lessons learned, new partnerships developed that you can attribute to your organization being able to contort to or move forward with a positive impact as a result of COVID? And what were the experiences that you guys had? And so if you could just maybe take 1 or 2 minutes each to kind of chime in on that, that would be great. Let's start with Lenora first, since she was the one who sort of, flicked the light switch for me. If we could have her. See, you're muted, Lenora. I'm going to be the mute queen before this is over.
Okay, is that better?
Yes, much.
Okay, definitely. We have formed several new partnerships since COVID, and since we've started doing the types of services that we are doing in the various communities. And one would be a partnership with a mental health group, because that was a service that we really had not focused a lot on in the past. But as we go forth and we go into the various communities, we have this as a part of our supportive services that we're able to offer the community. And, and we give each person a survey or a sheet to tell us what their needs are as they are sitting in the car waiting to get their food. And you'll be surprised at the number of individuals and families who have indicated that they really need mental health support. And so it has been great to have an organization on the ground as our partner that we can take these forms and give them to them, and they will follow up and receive the services. And we, I guess, created, I would say, a much stronger relationship with social services, the United Way, some of the Salvation Army, those other service areas in these communities that provide similar services as we do. But we've had to come together to really make a whole. And everybody has been very willing to come in and do what they can and go beyond what our normal services would be. So that has helped us as well. So going forward, as a result of this, one of the partners that we have been working with is going to actually set up a business here in my town to provide mental health services, which is very limited here. We only have 2 service providers and in the area that we serve. And we are, of course, a rural community, and we have several communities surrounding us, but we don't have the service providers that could really meet the needs of our various communities. So they are going to be coming in and setting up an office here in our town. So we're really excited about that. And that's certainly a direct result of the supportive services that we've been able to provide as we go out in the various communities to not just take care of food needs, but other needs as well.
Great. Thank you. Luis, do you want to jump in at this time on the question?
Certainly. Like we've all heard here, and that anything can happen. And, I've also heard that it takes a team to make things work. So, because it takes a lot of planning, and it follows through discipline, and no one individual really can make this happen. And that's why you have this team, and you bring it together, and you work as one. And so, that I think is key. We've always had a relationship with rural development, but they were great help. I have to mention this because what we accomplished, this was a good part of that. And it is that, they worked with us in 2 things. One is they were flexible enough to allow us to make contractor draws more than once a month. That really helped getting us to those 42 homes. Plus the last few groups that we submitted, they were submitted electronically. And the only thing that we had to do was send out completed inspection forms for the houses, pictures of houses, and also the certificates of occupancy, And just shortly, for the future, we need to stay informed. We need to get educated in things like this moving forward, because we always have a plan. This is the only way to succeed, the only way to come ahead, is knowing what's coming and knowing what steps to take. And I'll finish it off with that.
Great. Thank you. We'll turn to Liz for the final comment of the hour.
So I'll make it quick because I know I talk a lot. But so our organization, one of the partnerships is there's some more funding streams that are coming in that, can tailor to different programs that we might not have utilized before. So CARES is helping with rental, mortgage, and utility assistance. So that's creating new partnerships with landlords, which in turn can help later down the line with our homeless programs, where we now have a relationship with these landlords that we can maybe get some information if they have, any tenancy available, anything like that, or if they have any friends with units available. So it's creating relationships there. It's creating relationships with lenders on the mortgage that we're paying. It's creating a deeper relationship with the, utility companies that we already work with. And it's building our relationships in the community. So I think the biggest lesson that COVID has brought is community action has been open since this started. We haven't closed our doors, and we'll continue to work through it. So I think it really just solidifies to our community that we are always going to be here. We're going to have their back. We're going to help them find a way. We're going to help them find a way to win. And we're going to work with you start to end. And another lesson, like I said, I've watched a lot of webinars, a lot of trainings, is to give yourself grace. This is a learning curve for everyone. Very few organizations, at least with my connections that I've talked to, have already had a virtual plan instilled. This is new waters for most. So it's just giving yourself that breath that, okay, I don't have to know all this today. I just have to be willing to find how it's going to work going forward. So I think that those are some of the biggest lessons that COVID has brought to me and to my agency. And it's also helping to deepen those relationships, externally and also with, the employees in the office. So if I'm not here every day, I'm having a better line of communication with some of the staff that I might not have talked to, on a personal level or outside of hours. So it's really opening we keep saying it, opening lots of lines of communication, but those are going to be so necessary going forward because you never know what tomorrow is going to bring. It's just a crapshoot at this point. So it's just preparing yourself as much as you can before we hit a point where we are at a wall with no preparation and no idea of what to do moving forward.
I think, Liz, you ended very succinctly there. We never know what tomorrow is going to bring. I can't help but constantly go back to the comment that's been made a few times during this hour, is finding that way. It also takes me back to when we're finding our way, it's looking for that one small patch of light in the darkness. And so, that goes back to the theme that's been resonating across the symposium here today, is the theme of hope. And so I want to go ahead and close out this session today and start that by thanking our presenter, Luis, Lenora, and Liz, for sharing their experience and expertise. I also want to invite everyone to continue this discussion by joining us in the 2020 Vision Pathways and Outcomes Networking Breakout that's going to immediately follow the symposium, where participants will be able to use their video and audio to talk with presenters and other participants. To access the networking rooms, you will be provided with a link, I'm told, in the chat area as the symposium closes. And then also, if you are unable to join us for the post-event networking, we hope that you will continue to explore the many topics and conversations heard today and make plans to join us for HACS 2021, a National Rural Housing Conference that's scheduled for December 1 through 3 in Washington, D.C. So with that said, thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you on the other side. Thank you.